this platform, and I'm doing good, man. I'm glad to hear that you've been doing good, and I'm sure that a lot of our viewers are gonna really love hearing from you and
Okay.
hearing your story because it, I'm sure it's it's been a lot up to this point in this journey and everything. And I'm gonna get right to it. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get us kicked off really with our first question, man. And like you were raised as a Jehovah's Witness. You have grown up in that. Just tell us about it. How did you get into it? Were you born into it? Tell us your story.
Yeah. So pretty much since I came out of the womb, man, like it was already decided. It's funny. My mom talks about it. My mom actually got baptized when she was pregnant with me. So she always jokes about how I was baptized twice, as a Jehovah's Witness. But
Mm,
yeah, I was raised into it. You know, I met you. I met a couple of great people along the way. Um, uh, Honestly, it was an up and down experience, the whole thing. But we'll get into that more as we go along.
okay. Well, I mean, well, tell us a little bit more about it. I mean, since we're kind of on it, I mean, what would you say are the ups? What would some of the ups that you would have?
Honestly, a lot of the ups, of course, you meet great people. I mean, you do that in life anyway, but I met a lot of my childhood friends came from Jehovah's Witnesses. Um, let's see, it kept me out of a lot of trouble. I can say that for sure. I was, you know me, man. I was kind of a knucklehead when I was younger, man. So, the values and things that they teach, a lot of it kept me out of a lot of trouble that I would have ran into at a younger age. Um, I didn't really have any cons about it until I got older. Um, until I got this fellowship. That's when a lot of the cons, started coming into play. There was a lot of pressure, and it was kind of like peer pressure, but in a more we felt it more intense because we felt it not just from our friends, we felt it from people around us, we felt it from our families. It was a lot of pressure, and honestly, in situations like that, to be a Jehovah's Witness. Let me just put this out here. To be a Jehovah's Witness, you have to be about that life. Like there's no there's no ifs,
Hmm.
ands, buts, there's no way around it. You have to be about that life. It's kind of hard for you to determine whether you're about that life as a 13-year-old child, as a 13-year-old teenager. But a lot of us made that decision because we felt the pressure. And then, we get older and we realize, well, maybe we're not about that life, and we're now disassociated with it. So, I mean, pros and cons, like most things, pros and cons. I will say I have a lot of fond memories of being a witness. I'm not opposed to anything. Jehovah's Witnesses, my family is still Jehovah's Witnesses. Most of my family is still Jehovah's Witnesses. Yeah, we we, we all had to find our way. We're all going through our own different experiences, and we're all dealing with it different ways.
No, for sure, bro. I like one thing that like with you as you were talking, right? I can really relate to everything that you just said, like 1,000%, because it was really good experiences that we had from it. Like a lot of people, talk about, witness children, and yes, we talk about our experiences as kids. Some have had really horrible experiences, not to downgrade them, but for the most part, I had some good times. You know what I'm saying? Like I was knuckleheading too. You know what I'm saying? I was doing some things. You know what I mean? So I felt like had an experience, a decent enough experience to where it didn't fully damage our childhood. Like you said, it more so damaged our adulthood more than anything. I think as we were transitioning with that, and then as far as the downs, I mean, my downs are more so intensified now more than ever. I feel like, but we'll get more into that and so forth. But yeah, I appreciate you. You know what I'm saying, sharing. What your life as a witness was like, and really just kind of like confirming a lot for the listeners too. That have heard some of my stories. as well as the ladies who have heard my stories. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, this is it. Like, either you down or you down. Straight like
exactly.
that.
Exactly.
Straight like
I'm
that.
like, you like getting kind of like, you said you down, so it's like you down or you like out. Like,
Yeah,
oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
but either you win or you out. You know,
Okay.
It's odd being. Let's. Dang, I said let's a lot. Let's clarify. It's very odd to be out.
Mm-hmm.
It's very odd to be out. I remember the first time I was disfellowshipped. First time I was disfellowshipped, you know, when you get this if anybody who doesn't know, if you get this fellowship, well, I'm gonna talk about the reason why they do it the way they do it, and then I'm gonna tell you what it's actually like going through it. Okay, so the reason why people get this fellowship is because the intention is to try to keep the congregation clean. I understand that from a standpoint as of if somebody was, you know, in there doing whatever they want to do, just completely wilding out, and other people saw that and it wasn't getting checked, they're like, oh, okay, I guess we can do that too. And I can see why they would be like, nah, we need to disassociate you from us because you're gonna bring reproach upon, you know, our name, God's name, you know, so on and so forth. I understand the reason why they do what they do, but how it actually feels when you're this fellowship, if you have family that's in it, like when I got this fellowship, in 2000, late 2010, early 2011. I didn't hear from my aunt, my uncle, my cousins, a lot of my friends, a lot of my close friends until 2014, 2015 when I got reinstated. I went 4 years without hearing from a large part of my circle. And it was hard. Like you go from having every, you know, resource, every access, every friend and everything in the world to having absolutely nothing, or having to regain those things for 4 years. And it's like, yeah, it's a strong feeling of loneliness. Strong feeling of loneliness, strong feeling of, you know, being stranded. Like you're stranded, you have nobody that you can reach out to, you have nobody that you can call upon. You just feel alone. I didn't speak to my parents for a good amount of time, even though I lived with them for some of that time. When I got out on my own, I didn't really speak to them. Now, they were helpful. I would say this, if I ever called on them for anything, if I ever needed anything, you know, they were very helpful. I had my children during this time. I had 2 of my children during this time frame. Well, I'm sorry, I had my first child during that time frame. I had my first child in 2014, and I was already back by the time 2016 came around. I had my second son. But my first child, you know, the cool thing about the thing about that, they were actually there for Alon being born. They were very active in Alon's life, more so than they are now. And that's probably because I live 2 hours away, but that's another subject for another time. I'm not getting to that. But it was just the whole experience in itself. Just I'm getting off tangent, but just the whole experience in itself is a very, very, very lonely experience.
Very well said.
So when you got reinstated, I guess, how did that feel? Was it like a sign of relief or?
Yeah, it was relief, but let me even get into that. So,
Okay.
So when you're this fellowship, and there's a lot of things that led to me being reinstated. Not just the fact that I wanted to, you know, have my family and friends back and things of that nature. I mean, but honestly, living life as a Jehovah's Witness is one of the times that I was actually happy. You know, I was actually happy. I didn't have a whole bunch of, you know, bad tendencies. I didn't have a whole bunch of things going on in my life. that was continually bringing me drama. So, I just felt like a better person as a Jehovah's Witness. So that's a part of the reason why I wanted to get reinstated. But even when I was disfellowship, when you're disfellowship, the only people that you can talk to in the congregation are the elder. And even with that, like, I remember a certain situation where I was talking to an elder, and I'm not bashing any. I'm not gonna say no names. I'm not trying to bash anybody. But I was talking to a specific elder. I needed publication so I could follow along with what we were doing at the meeting. I went up to this elder. This elder looked at me and was like, "Why are you talking?" And I looked at him like he was. And in that situation really put like a sour taste in my mouth. Even when I got reinstated, it was a lot of situations that was similar to that, which kind of put a sour taste in my mouth.
Hold on.
Okay.
I gotta put this in perspective for the listeners real quick, and for the viewers too. So we know what disfellowshipping is. You're in the Jehovah's Witnesses. You're a baptized Jehovah's Witness. You do something bad, you get kicked out. That's disfellowshipping, right? But the reinstatement, as our boy Nick here is telling us, is the process of getting back into the fold. And within that, you can't talk. And like he said, the only people you can talk to is the elders, which are pretty much like the leads of the congregation. They're the leads of the flock, right? Or shepherds of the flock, or whatever. So what Nick is telling us, so I'm just trying to get this straight. You talked to a certain elder, and you were asking him about material, because that's the only person you can talk to. That's the only person you're allowed to talk to. You're asking him about material for the next lesson, which you should be into. That is an actual example of something that you are supposed to do in your reinstatement, everyone. Is that you are supposed to study, you're supposed to do these things. He's trying to do that. And you telling me this man told you or asked you, why are you speaking? As if like, how dare you? Yeah. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, you are getting that right. And I checked him. And the funny part about that, I checked him. I literally had to look at him. I was like, aren't you an elder? Like, I literally looked at him. I said, aren't you an elder? And he was like, then he like had like the self-realization, like, oh yeah, I am. And went ahead and got the thing. But I'm looking at him like, he literally looked at me and said, why are you speaking to me, brother? And I said,
wow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's a first. I ain't never heard nothing like that.
So yeah, that blew me. That situation blew me. And then once I got reinstated, it was like once I got reinstated, it was more situations like that where, I'm at assemblies, and I have another elder coming up to me saying things to me, and I'm like, I got this. Like, I understand what I need to do. I appreciate what you're trying to do, the sentiment. And it's not even that they were saying anything, he was saying anything bad. He was reiterating sentiments, but I'm like, you don't have to reiterate it. I already know what I need to do. I already know how I need to go about doing it. I got you. So it was just certain things that were just, rubbed me the wrong way. And then the whole situation happened with my divorce and everything, which kind of, I'm not disfellowshipped again. I'm just what we consider inactive right now. But I've been inactive since about 2017.
And as far as inactive, real quick for the viewers, that is a state. It's kind of like, I guess, like a lower level of disfellowshipping, where like if you're inactive, you can still kind of talk to people. You know what I'm saying? Like, like you're kind of more open to everybody else, but you're still kind of known as a person not to really mess with. So
yeah. So well, yes and no. So inactive, just to clarify what Roman said, inactive is pretty much you're not attending. You haven't been disfellowshipped, but you're not attending. They don't see you as a person that's active either in the ministry or at the meeting. So but it's not a situation where I'm like disfellowshipped or I can't talk to anybody. I have access to my family. I have access to people I can speak to. I just don't practice currently.
So being in an active state is kind of better than being disfellowship because you can still, communicate with your family. You can communicate. Like if you went to the hall, and it's a meeting, I think it's called, right? If you went to a meeting, people would still talk to you and kind of embrace you. Whereas
Yeah.
disfellowship, no one is going to talk to you besides the elders. They're the only ones that are allowed to communicate with you.
It's definitely a lot different, and yeah, it is really like a lot different. It's like it's kind of it's not funny, but it's funny like what Rome said. It's kind of like disfellowshipping light, like the light. I think.
So would you say that as far as you saying that you wanted to kind of like go back, because you wasn't getting into trouble or attracting trouble, the case may be, do you feel as though the Jehovah's Witness religion is more so of a guideline for you? It kind of like keeps your path straight. It's something that you probably would need to probably make you feel complete, or to continue to make you feel like a better person. Would you say it's like that?
Complete? Not necessarily. To be a better person. I mean, listen, the guidelines of being a Jehovah's Witness are about being a better person. Those are the guidelines. It's about living by Bible standards, which in turn will make you a better person. So yes, I do believe that would be the case. If I were to go back to practicing those, standard, and they're very strong standard. If I go back to practicing those standards, then yes, I would, in turn, have less. I'd probably have less foolishness in my life, to be honest. And less foolishness is always a good thing. I'm not, like I said, it's not something that I'm opposed to. I've had bad experiences, but it wasn't an experience where, it was overly egregious. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, we have to remember, even with the situation with the elders, we're still dealing with people. People are going to be people. You can't take what or hold it against your overall experience based on what a few people have done to you. I could say I can't look at my whole life and say, man, my life sucks, just based off of what a few people did to me. And it's the same thing with the religion. I'm not gonna look at the religion like, man, this religion sucks, based off of what a few occasions that occurred with me. So I mean, I don't feel like I need it to be complete, but to answer your question, Chanel, yes, if I were to go back to living by Bible standards, I'd probably have a less stressful life. I need some light in here. Hold on, let's get it going.
The thing is, man, like, and I've said this on this platform plenty of times. Like, I have no beef with the people. Like some of the people within Jehovah's Witness organization are some of the nicest, purest, genuinest people you'll ever meet. Like, and that's about the people. Now, and as far as some of the doctrinal teachings, if you want to get that deep, I mean, a lot of it, is about Christianity in a sense, right? It's about love. There's a lot of good within the doctrine. However, the beef that I have is with the organization and with the corporate side of it, and with the governing body, and how that is corporatized, whatever you want to call it, corporate sprinkle that they put on everything.
The business of it.
The business of it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, thank you, ladies. I know I needed that. But yeah, that's my beef. I have an issue with the policies, the inconsistencies. That's where I end up having an issue. But to kind of compliment what you're saying, Nick, like, there's nothing wrong with like the people. You know what I'm saying? Like, the people, to me, I feel like are somewhat, misguided in a sense when it comes to certain things. And yeah, that's just me. You know what I'm saying? But either way, I guess I'm gonna kick it back over to Chanel, because I think you had another thought that you were gonna throw out as well.
What has life been like for you since you have you said you're not disfellowship, you're inactive.
Right.
So what has life like, just like your personal life, right? You don't have to give us your business, but what has that been like since since you're no longer active?
Hasn't really been bad, honestly. After, let's see, all right, just to give you a background, I got reinstated, early 2015, kind of went inactive around 2017. Me and my then wife at the time, ended up getting divorced. And then from there, it's been kind of just like, it's just been like peaks and valleys, honestly, peaks and valleys, where, life would go good, and then, bad stuff would happen, and then life would go good again, and then bad stuff would happen. It's just, it's kind of weird. But a lot of the drama, a lot of the, bad stuff could have been avoided if I was still living by certain standards that I can say and I can agree to. But besides that, it's just been, I guess, life as usual, just, going through the motions pretty much. Nothing really too high, nothing too low, just a lot of peaks and valleys, honestly.
It being easier for you as you've gotten older to start applying those standards as you've gotten older, even
No.
outside of it.
I'm gonna tell you like this, no, and I'm gonna tell you the reason why. It's hard to do something that you haven't practiced, right? So if you haven't been living a certain lifestyle, because whether you want to say it or not, at the end of the day, that lifestyle, compared to lifestyles that you see other people live, it's a restrictive lifestyle. So if you're living without those restrictions, it doesn't make it easy for you to live with those restrictions. So to answer your question, no. For me to go back to that lifestyle, I'd really have to, it's a situation where you really have to deeply immerse yourself in that. You can't just be like, all right, I'm gonna flip the switch and I'm gonna go back to doing what I'm supposed to do. It doesn't work like that. It does not work like that. And especially with that lifestyle, like I said before, you really have to be about it. If you're not about it, it's gonna show real fast. It's gonna show really fast.
Either you down or you down. I'm telling y'all, man.
Well, it seems like there's a little in between though with the inactive state, because I think you're about to answer the question I'm about to ask. So go ahead.
Well, yes and no. Technically, if you want to be technical about it, an inactive person is just the person that's supposed to be this fellowship who hasn't revealed their sins yet. At the end of the day,
Gotcha.
That's pretty much all that is. So,
That's a good way.
yeah. So for me to actually go back into it, I would have to go back through the whole disfellowshipping process and restart over.
And are you willing to do that at this point?
Honestly, to be honest, I don't care. I don't care. At this point now, I have enough of a support system that if I lose part of my support system, I'm not hurting. I have my kids, I have my fiance, I have her family, I have, my own friends that I made outside of those being Jehovah's Witnesses. So if something would happen, if I wanted to, regain that, it wouldn't be as big as when I had to go through it the first time.
Mm-hmm.
So it wouldn't hurt me. It wouldn't hurt me like it hurt me the first time. Just leave it like that.
My brain does this. So in talking to you, I never thought about it like this, but it sounds like, and please correct me, if you are disfellowship, you know, and you do the steps to get I don't know what the term is, but to reinstated. Thank you. You do what you need to do to get reinstated. You're reinstated. And you just kind of stop going, you know, and you stop engaging. It sounds like you can put yourself into that inactive status and not get disfellowship by just maybe not just going, you know, to meetings and being involved.
Yeah.
And this is gonna sound messed up what I'm about to say.
Kind of like a cheat code.
Yeah, okay, you see where I'm going? It feels like if you want to still be in touch with your loved ones, you know, if they're really into, you know, they're really into the religion, that could be a loophole to have a relationship with them again if you don't want to put yourself fully into the religion. And I never thought about it that way. And I could be wrong, or, you know, I'm not saying you do those steps exactly how I said, but because it's like, boom, you can't get back and then just stop going. You know, I feel like that's not possible. But I feel like that could be a way, if someone thought about it, to kind of establish a relationship with their family, you know, because like you said, being disfellowship is a really, you know, if your family and your friends are all in it, it's a really alone feeling, which could lead to like feeling depressed and all these other things, you know? So I feel like that's the cheat code to get your family back in a way, you know? It sounds messed up, but I just had to say it because I was just like, that's interesting, because I feel like I could be a little bit cheat code, but who would want to go through that, you know?
So to piggyback off what you're saying, yes, and so, well, yes and no. So it's really based off of how the people around you view your inactiveness. If that's a word, inactive. Some people,
it's gonna be one today. It's cool.
Inactivity. Dad, I can reach out to my cousins. They'll be encouraging. You know, I can reach out to my sisters. They'll be encouraging. You know, so. I mean, that's one thing that will occur. Like, if you're inactive, one thing that will occur is like a lot of people will encourage you to get back right. Mm-hmm. So in that way, I guess it is a cheat code. But I mean, honestly, if you could talk to somebody while they're disfellowship, that's all that would occur, and just people encouraging you to get back. So, I mean, I guess it'd just be the same thing in different circumstances, I guess.
This was good. I mean, I think, honestly, you came from a different perspective, a different angle from it all. And I think that, you know, your growth speaks a lot to your strength as well, man. And, you know, this is why you are here, man. Survival series, man. You're a survivor, you know what I mean? You out here surviving, you're doing your thing. So nah, we appreciate your transparency. I guess really, you know, before we kind of tell this out and wrap this up and so forth, I guess, where do you see yourself going with this kind of hanging over you still? And you know, I know you kind of have spoken on the fact that, you know, if you did want to go back wherever, where do you stand? Where do you see yourself going with yourself moving forward?
Well, that's a good question. So one thing that my fiance would talk to me about, well, she talked to me about it recently. She's like, you know, whatever you choose to do, because we have conversations about this. She's talked to my mom, you know, she's, you know, had conversations with my mom about it. You know, she actually worked with somebody who she's very close to, like, is a Jehovah's Witness, you know what I'm saying? So it's a situation. She was like, hey, you know, whatever you choose to do, you know, I'm gonna support you. So I mean, if I was to go that route, you know, if I wanted to go back, it wouldn't be a situation where, you know, I'd have to worry about, you know, it causing conflict in my household, which is a tremendous thing. Let me get into that. So I know Roland would understand this. When we were younger, you know, when we were, you know, coming up and we were starting to look for the Johns to talk to, it was you would always, you know, be like, hey, talk to somebody within your faith, talk to somebody within your faith, because, you know, you didn't want to be unevenly yoked, where you're talking to somebody who doesn't believe in what you believe in, and it causes marital issues, it causes problems down the line, things of that nature. So the fact that she would support me is a tremendous thing, because that's not the case with everybody. Let's just be honest. That would not be the case with everybody in everybody else's situation. So that's a big help. That's another reason why I wouldn't be opposed to going back to doing it, because I know I'd have, like I said, I'll have that support. I wouldn't have to worry about that interfering in my household.
Yeah.
My situation, honestly, the reason why I am the way I am is, why I'm not practicing at this time is because, I haven't felt well, I can't even say that. It's kind of weird. It's just like, I just haven't wanted to, kind of. Honestly, I just haven't wanted to yet. I haven't wanted to go through that whole process again yet. So, I mean, honestly, about the religion, I have no qualms with the religion. I have no qualms with people. I have no qualms with policy. So that's just my personal experience. People will tell you experiences where, they lost their family and things of that nature. And I mean, those are real experiences. A lot of people have been disowned because they decided to be a Jehovah's Witness. So, I mean, those are deeper experiences. Those are experiences that other people go through. I haven't had that experience, but I can only speak on what I did.
Respect, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I think honestly, like, the thing is that, like, the important piece that you said here that I'm gonna kind of tell us out with real quick is the fact that everybody's experience was different. Like, even though we grew up together, our experiences were different. And the thing is that, like, even with everybody else within our circle, I'm just speaking of our circle just independently, and I know everybody that's watching this is like, who's all these people that he talking about? You know what I'm saying? But within our circle, everyone had a different experience. Some similarities, some sprinkled in there, but everybody's was different. And I think that's another telling thing about this entire topic, this entire subject. So, but I think it's so valuable, your story that you've shared with us here. I really appreciate your transparency, the love, man, everything, man. Real quick, before we tell this out, any shout outs, anything you want to plug in? The floor is yours.
Any plugs? Okay. I don't really have anything to plug, man. That's that. I'm trying to keep prepared. I mean, I want to say, okay, I can give you a few shout outs. I can think about like 06. But shout out to you, first of all, man. It's good to see you. Good to see you. Shout out to the original crew. Shout out to my beautiful fiance for allowing me to hold down the kids so I can take the time to do this.
Big shout out.
Big shout out. I mean, I don't really have anything to plug. Next time I come up here, if there's a next time,
just let us know. Yeah, of course. I mean, and you can give it to me too. I mean, we'll make sure we share it, in our descriptions, things of that sort. If you have anything that you want to plug in and so forth. But no, this was good, man. This was really good. I really appreciate the time and once again the transparency. Like, that's the biggest thing we're here on the Book of Us, man. This is what we love, man. Ladies, thank you as always for being you. Any thoughts and any goodbyes you want to leave with our boy here?
I have something. It's thank you for sharing your story and the transparency. I definitely would like to meet you and your fiance, because just like you said that you guys had to have the conversation and kind of line up what you guys, what it would look like if you went back, if you didn't. I have not found anyone who has had that similar experience than me. So I would definitely like to meet you guys. And Jerome and I had that conversation. We were just dating, So we kind of prepared for him going back or not going back, and he also understood my stand. And the same thing with her. I talked to his mom. I learned about the religion as much as I feel like I could and stuff like that. So I definitely would like to meet you, and especially meet her as well. I just haven't met anybody that's been in that same position. So thank you for just sharing and coming tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Me and Rome chop it up. We can set something up. I'll come down. Oh, wait.
Well, not gonna hold you any further here. Hey, y'all know what time it is, man. For Chanel Lanice, India Renee, it's your boy Rome Jones, man. Y'all know what we are sponsored by. Shout out to all of our sponsors. Admire Yourself Natural, Shaded by Chanel, as well as the almighty
what?
Varius, the Varius.com. That's right, it is THEVARIUS. Content for all, created by us. And to the many and to the few, embrace the book of you. We'll see y'all next time.
Ooh.
The Varius